Namaste and welcome to my YouTube channel, Brain Body Movement. I am Mansi and I am a neurobiologist, a yoga teacher, and a mindfulness teacher. And to continue this series on science behind your breathing. So, as I shared in my last video about the breathing, the lung breathing, and the neurobiology of the breathing, and how breathing can impact your stress, and how you can manage your anxiety levels and stress levels just through breathing. So, to continue that part, today we will be exploring the belly breathing, which is mostly used in practices like yoga and meditation, deep belly breathing, we say. And usually in yoga practices, we use the three steps breathing, which is called a full yogic breath, which involves your belly, your lung, and your clavicular breathing. And in the last lecture, I already explained that when we use these different types of breathing, for example, when we are super stressed, when we are anxious, when we are running, we tend to take shorter breaths. This is the anatomy of breathing, the science of breathing, as I call it. So you can go ahead and make sure to watch that first before starting to watch this one, because there I explained all the basics of breathing and all the essential parts of the series that you are here with me on brain body movement. So I have been always fascinated with the science behind the breath work, particularly how it can be a powerful tool for managing anxiety and panic attacks. As a mindfulness teacher, I also guide people with anxiety, depression, and a lot of mental health disorders. And I also love to educate people, spread more awareness regarding these issues and trauma and healing aspects of the trauma. But more importantly, what I love to teach is the techniques, the tools, which are scientifically proven as well as has very strong foundation in managing your vital energy. Um, and as a scientist, as a neurobiologist, I'm also coming up with a lot of different techniques, which I will be publishing in my book. And I also teach those techniques in my paid classes and my workshops. Let me go back a little to explain the response, the natural response of the body to stress. So, when we face a perceived threat, an integrated process starts happening into our brain. The amygdala, often referred to as the fear center, detects the danger and sends a distress signal. So we know that our brain and body are really connected, and whatever happens in the body, it goes up to the brain, and brain knows everything, it governs everything, and whatever happens in the brain also signals the body and impacts the body. So just like that, the fear center of the brain receives this signal of distress, that there is any threat or stress. And this activates hypothalamus, which is the body's control center, which then triggers the sympathetic nervous system, initiating the flight or fight response. So now, as I mentioned earlier, also you don't have to remember all these names, or you don't have to go deeper into the neurobiology. But I love to explain, and it's really important to learn these things also for ourselves. So let's talk about the flight and fight response, right? So what happens in this response? So this is our primal survival response. And if you look at any living being, any living animals or humans, our primary purpose is to survive. So this is the primal survival mechanism designed to help us escape the danger. Hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, they rises in our bloodstream, preparing us for the immediate action. So we need cortisol, to be honest. It's a good hormone if it is in the rhythm with our circadian cycle, which is the natural clock of the body. I will be talking about it in upcoming videos. And if it's not too high for too long or chronically for extended period of time, then it's fine. We release cortisol naturally every morning we wake up. So that is the natural response of the body. And whenever we are stressed or in danger, we need that cortisol and adrenaline to activate all the muscles and all the other systems and bring the energy away from the secondary things like digestion, which we don't need while we are in danger and we need to run for our lives, right? So, in that moment, we need these hormones, and it prepares us. The heart rate also increases, which pumps more oxygen rich blood to our muscles. Our respiration quickens to take in more oxygen, and our senses become hyper alert. So it's basically the body's mechanism to prepare us to run away or to hide somewhere or to even think quickly in certain conditions. Um, However, sometimes this very beautiful response, which is well organized, it can become exaggerated, which can lead to a panic attack or an anxiety attack. Now, this can feel like sudden surge of intense fear or discomfort, accompanied by a wave of physical symptoms like rapid breathing, heart palpitation, chest tightness, dizziness, and even numbness. So, what can you do in these situations? Well, as I said, that I love teaching the techniques which are more practical and you can use them actually in real time because I have worked with many clients and many people, and a lot of my students or clients, they suffer from number of things, whether it's a physical illness which is basically leaking into the mental body or manomaya kosha, or if it's something related to past traumas or emotions which are impacting them after so many years. So it's very important to recognize these things, to accept them, and then move on to working on them by using the techniques that actually help. And a lot of these clients, they have already gone through many therapies and they have used a lot of techniques, but they fail to work. I'm not saying that therapies and different and other techniques, they are useless, but uh, we have to acknowledge that the fact that something that has been designed cannot work for everyone. However, when it comes to holistic practices such as breathwork or pranayam or yoga or mindfulness practices, these concepts we don't have. And that's where I bring in this personal one on one touch to the practices. So let's talk about relaxation response. Now, breath work is very important. So I mentioned that we don't really think when we breathe. We are not paying attention to our breathing patterns. Do you really think ever how many times per minute are you breathing? Are you counting your breaths? Are you paying attention to the depth of your breathing? Are you breathing shallow or is it a deep breath? Are you breathing through your nose or your mouth? And to notice these things is very crucial because then you pay more attention to these things and you correct yourself. You notice and you correct. I'll be talking about the difference between the nasal breathing and the mouth breathing, which is very important to know because I have seen a lot of people, they do not know how to breathe. Even normally, in their day-to-day lives, they breathe through their mouth, and it impacts your immune system, your capability of fighting diseases and pathogens, which we'll be talking in another video. But let's stick to this. And today I'm going to talk about belly breathing and how we can use belly breathing, which is just more than deep breaths, let me tell you. To help navigate through the anxiety attacks and the panic attacks. So, belly breathing involves engaging the diaphragm. Now, I explained a little bit of anatomy in the last video, which is our diaphragm is below the lungs, above your intestine and your stomach, your stomach cavity. It is like a curtain. It separates these two cavities, right? And it is a dome shaped structure. And whenever you inhale very slowly through your nose, your diaphragm will contract, which pushes your abdomen outwards, and your belly basically gets bigger and allows your lungs to expand more and more. So you can now try to breathe in and observe if this is true for you. If not, then you need to correct your breathing pattern. This is the first thing I teach in my yoga classes also. So I observe how they are breathing. I let them breathe through their nose, through their mouth, and observe if they're breathing correctly in their day-to-day lives also. And pointing out these small things can help a lot. So the belly breathing is basically different than the chest breathing. In the last video, I mentioned how you can regulate your nervous system, how you can regulate the stress response through your chest breathing. And today I'm going to share how you can do it through your belly breathing, allowing the use of the belly and the full deep breaths. So, what happens actually when you take deep breaths? And I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the vagus nerve, a magical system which is connecting our brain and our gut and all the other important organs. So, belly breathing has a profound impact on the nervous system by stimulating the vagus nerve, often referred to as the body's relaxation pathway. The vagus nerve acts as the brake on the sympathetic nervous system. So I explained what is sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system in my last video, and I'll be talking about it also in detail in my next videos. But to tell you in short, the sympathetic nervous system is basically the fight and fight response, which is the stress response, and it activates a part of nervous system which is releasing all the stress hormones. So when we activate vagus nerve through belly breathing, it sends the signals to the brain of calming down, and which promotes a cascade of physiological changes in the body and in the brain. So what happens physiologically is that your heart rate slows down, your blood pressure also decreases, and the muscle tension that we have created to either fight or to run away, it releases and it goes down also, which is exactly opposite of what you experience during anxiety or panic attack. And to tell you that we talk a lot about the somatic release or the psychosomatic symptoms or even storing your trauma or stress in the body, right? How it happens. So whenever you are stressed or whenever you are injured, let's say in this arm, I'm injured right now, I will have the memory, the muscles will have the memory of this tension, this pain, this damage that I have caused. And even after years, I will remember this. And even after years, this is all good. Everything is fine. It's back to normal functional arm. My arm will still remember that pain or that trauma. So just like that, when we are chronically stressed or under stress for longer periods, um, or when we have panic attacks or anxiety attacks, these kind of responses that triggers the body and the muscles, it remembers. The body remembers these responses, and that is why it's very important to work on a somatic level also. And to be honest, that's the first thing that I recommend my students and in my workshops also, to come out of the mind and to get into your body. So connect with the body, right? Just move, go for a walk, any kind of physical thing, cleaning or moving your body, dancing, anything, yoga, that will get you out of your head. That will get you out of that mental state where you are thinking, overthinking, overanalyzing, you're getting worried, you're getting anxious, or getting panic attacks. So, these really helps you. And in my psychosomatic healing workshops, I use the brain body movement approach, which is very unique approach to release any stored tension, any trauma or emotions from the body. So, as I explained, that there are a lot of things happen between the brain and body. There are a lot of physiological things also happen when you're stressed. So it's not that easy to release this stress or trauma from the body, as I hear a lot on social medias that do hip openers or heart openers and you will release it. It's not as simple as that. It's very much complex and it's doable, yes, but it's not as simple as you just doing a hip opener or deep stretches, which will improve your flexibility, yes, for short term. And you might even feel the release of certain emotions coming up. I see people crying in my classes, also just in the yoga classes. So that is very much normal. But in the somatic healing workshops that I offer, it's on a different level because you're engaging all that aspects of your brain and body um, to release this for once and for all, because then it's not coming back, then it's not stored there. And if you have something from the past, like 10 years ago, you have had some kind of traumatic experience, any injury, and you're still experiencing that, you're still holding on to that, it's going to be very difficult to release that. So now let's understand what happens to your brain when you do the belly breathing. So there are a lot of studies done on the brain using brain imaging techniques, that when you are belly breathing, it activates the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain which is responsible for rational thinking and emotional regulation. And by calming the body's stress response, belly breathing allows the prefrontal cortex to regain control, leading to a decrease in anxiety and a more balanced emotional state. How many of you have been through anxiety or panic attacks and not being able to think correctly, not being able to do anything? And even though you have been working on yourself, even though you have been practicing yoga for years or any of those things, you were not able to do anything in that particular moment. How many of you? Well, I personally have experienced that I was completely blank. I was not able to think which technique, what breathing, until I discovered a very profound approach and techniques which actually helps. And it's also the part where you practice these techniques particularly every day so that your brain is rewired, your body is rewired, and you remember these things when you're getting anxiety or panic attacks. So right now I would like to invite you to do a belly breathing session with me. Wherever you are, sit comfortably either on a chair, on the floor. Keep your spine completely straight and make sure that you're comfortable. You can even lie down if you are at home, in the evening, in the morning, anytime. Place one hand on the chest, the left hand on the chest, and the right one on your belly, on your abdomen. Now, mindfully, as you inhale slowly through your nose, you can even close your eyes. Feel your belly inflate, pushing your hand outwards. So your belly is bulging, it's getting bigger and bigger. With every inhale that you take, try to make it bigger and longer inhale. And make sure that your chest remains still. So you will feel a slight movement in the chest, but it is not the same as the chest breathing, which we did in the last session, that we inhale through the chest and exhale down. So you will not experience this movement of chest moving up and down so much, but rather your belly moving outwards and inwards. Inhale through your nose and slowly open your mouth very gently and exhale. And observe your belly moving inwards, your hand moving inwards, and the muscles contracting. But whenever you practice this breathing, aim for 6 to 8 breaths per minute. So you can even have a timer with you. And as you repeat it 6 to 8 times per minute, focus on your sensations. Sensations of the breath moving in and out. Just relax your hands and sit here for a moment. Close your eyes completely. And allow your belly to move your breath, your prana. And as you are more mindful of the breathing, of the air moving in and out, you will experience the sensation moving up towards your brain through your spine, which is the prana moving upwards and the cerebrospinal fluid moving upwards, calming you down, relaxing you. Nice. Open your eyes very gently, relax with a smile on your face. Practice this regularly for optimal results. Belly breathing, you can incorporate it into your yoga practice or use as a technique that you can practice whenever you feel like. I usually prefer and recommend it practicing as soon as you wake up and before sleeping. Because as soon as you wake up, you don't want to be stressed. You don't want to be looking into your phone. You don't want to be thinking about your day, planning your day, or none of that. Focus, connect with your body, come back to the body, and focus on the breath, focus on the belly breathing. And this will automatically calm your nervous system the first thing in the morning. And the same way, you can practice it before sleeping so that you can have sound and calm sleep. And Definitely, you can practice it whenever you are stressed or anxious in real time. But make sure that you are mindful, you're aware, and you're grounded during the practice. And that comes with the practice, with time. So don't rush. And if you feel that you're not getting there, it's completely fine. I'm also starting a meditation course online. So if anyone interested, please feel free to reach out. And belly breathing was just one example of breathwork technique that can be powerful tool for managing anxiety and stress or panic attacks. And as I always encourage my students, I teach them different tools and different techniques, and I encourage them to create their own holistic approach to stress management, promote relaxation, or improve focus, or even have a better emotional well being with mental well being, or even have a better discipline in their lives. So it can be number of things, number of goals that you would like to achieve, the personal goals, and you can use these different techniques in your day-to-day lives to improve and to get there. So thank you for joining. And if you're interested in learning more about breath work or exploring other mindfulness techniques for anxiety and stress reductions, subscribe for the future videos, and feel free to leave a comment below with any questions that you might have. Namaste.